to be fish-eyed.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's just me.
Great.
Yeah.
It is.
He's got a.
There you go. You have a fisheye lens?
Yeah, it's that little
That's
clip
yeah,
over
That's why we
there.
can see all this on
to
here.
fit everyone in the frame while we can still see the screen.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
There's like a smudge on the lens where Soryu's face is.
Exactly. Keep, no, it's okay.
You want that. Okay, that's it. All the names here.
I'll be there somewhere.
Okay, so Josh, JJ. Okay. Phew. Okay, here we are. So Josh had a beautiful prompt, which was that I had just had a Jed McKenna flavor type experience in connection with Sorry like 20-30 minutes ago. And I would like to request your support in helping me integrate that experience somehow by tag teaming with Sorry, but Sorry was hesitant to tag team with you before he gets to know you a little bit more too.
Yeah.
And here we are. That's some of the context for me. I also had an interest in bringing more of like these practices more in the world, and to have my listening people like JJ to be able to bring more people to have more embodied like spiritual experiences that I make up that she just like lives and breathes everywhere that she goes. So there's a couple of my main personal selfish desires or outcomes in this conversation. I was just talking with Trinley and Yeshe, who were on speaker for a couple hours while we were earlier as well.
And
Hey, Moritz.
Moritz wanted to join to like support and like get more people more of a flavor of these experiences by taking them out into breakout rooms, which I can set up later too as well. But the first section I wanted to be more focused on some of Maple or Monastic Academy's work, and how I can translate that to work that JJ and our like more embodied people could have some scaffold to bring into more people's lives. Okay.
now what?
Sorry, do you want to re-articulate the thing that he had the breakthrough on, or would you like me to?
Oh, would you do it?
Okay.
That would be great.
So, Craig, I'm saying this to you so you can help Alton.
Right.
Essentially, what Sawyer was pointing to is that on some felt sense level, a certain set of human beings can grok that something's off with the way things are. And if you have some awareness of that, then on some pre-verbal level, we can talk about that. We can withdraw from the things that were created from the offness and create something that's possibly more on.
That's very well said. It's very interesting. The way you said
If you're talking woo-woo energetic stuff, that's fine. On a human level, I think that's all crap. But you know, it's that's okay. It just depends on what ball field you want to play in and by what rules you want to play in. That's fine.
So sorry, you said it was interesting how I framed it. I know I framed it differently than how I framed it the last time. So is there something you could point to that might get us a little more on track, or maybe point to a smudge that's on my lens as I'm looking at what you pointed toward?
Well, no, that was just so interesting. You know, your summary of things, you know, that something's off. That's a really impressive phrasing.
Are you being sarcastic?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
How? But from what reference point is something off? It's all perfect exactly the way it is from one point of view. And for it to be off, you have to have a point of view of the place that's not off. It's like crazy. You can't be crazy unless you have a mean.
Yeah, so the thing that is so exciting about it is that the way he put it, he could talk about it from the place a little, sure, but a little bit from the place that isn't off.
Okay. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, let's do the square root of negative numbers. And I'm like, there's a branch of mathematics where you can do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to go along with it. So, okay, so if you're so if you're speaking from the, so how do you cleanse yourself of the notness,
Of the
of the
notness?
offness,
What do you mean by the notness?
the offness? If something's off, it's nothing external. It has to do with everything and everybody.
Did you, but before you said the notness, what was that? What did that refer to?
Cleanse yourself.
That's an old man brain fart. You can ignore that.
Oh, well, are we sure it wasn't a Freudian slip or something?
It might have been a Freudian knot, maybe not a slip, but
No, very good. And what was that about?
okay. So you want me to pretend it was a Freudian slip?
No, I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm just asking you what it was about.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, yeah, so then your next question?
How do you cleanse the mirror of the dust of the offness such that you can hear or receive or articulate from the not off place?
We were talking about that. Of course, there are many questions within this question. But the main thing we were discussing was a sense of urgency, or a sense of the need to do that.
So is that part of the offness, or is that the truth or whatever?
That is this incredible path out of the offness. And this again we were discussing. The path out of the woods is part of the woods.
Yeah. I don't know what to do. I'm
like the work around JoJo stuff, or like how can JJ embody this, or I embody this stuff.
No. Ignore what he just said. This is the offness.
Okay.
Marvel. This is like the constructs that believe in this certain set of values that will point you away from the onness.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to need to draw up a map of how do you know what if something's off? So that's whether the flavor of it.
He just described it.
Yeah, but you can't point to that.
Why not?
Because you're pointing at nothing. You're pointing at moo.
Well, moo isn't nothing, but
okay, some things that I would point
Yeah.
to is, for instance, the higher pitch in Alton's voice and the speech being faster.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to have a little bit of difficulty here because the offness is going to show up differently for every person. Every bit of offness theoretically is going to be another spoke on the samsaric wheel. It's all going to show up differently. So if you don't have an understanding or ability to grasp something under the superficiality of what's presented, then you're going to be pointing fingers through your racist, viewpoints of that, and you're labeling that off because maybe from where you're at, his high voice is an offness, but maybe from where he's at, it isn't. You can't tell from the outside. It's like the old Buddhist parable, the guy who had the other guy build the 7-storied house, and then he had to take it down and he had to move it and he had to take it down again and move it and la 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 la. And from an outside point of view, that's awfully nasty to do to somebody. You know, you can't tell from the outside about whether something is holy or whether it isn't. You can't tell from the outside whether Alton's high-pitched voice is a sign of offness or whether his underwear is too tight. I mean, who knows? So that's why.
How can you tell whether she can tell from the outside?
That it's a philosophical construct that nobody can do it from the outside.
Well, how do you know that for her?
I can't.
Oh.
That's a hypothesis.
Oh, okay. It's an interesting hypothesis.
Yeah, it's like the dog tooth. Do you know that story?
No.
No.
We don't know yet. I know a
It's
lot of stories about dog teeth.
It's an old Buddhist thing. This guy goes on a trek. His mother says, "Bring me back a relic." The guy comes back. He's forgotten about to get to the relic until he's right next to the house, and he's like, "Oh crap! Mom's going to beat the shit out of me." So he finds a dog tooth, and he wraps it up and says, "Oh, here, look. This is a relic of a saint." And she uses it in her prayer cycles, and all sorts of really wonderful things happen. The point of the story is, it's not about the thing. It's about your attitude towards it. Nothing is holy in and of itself. Nothing is unholy in and of itself.
Okay, that's
Urgency in, yep.
How does that relate to what we were?
You guys are feeling urgency. You guys, and how do you know that that's right? You're looking at the world and saying it's a horrible place. No, it's a place. It's a place.
Did someone say the world is a horrible place? I don't recall anyone saying that.
My apologies. I misspoke there. That it's an off place.
I don't recall anyone saying that either.
I said there is an offness that can be detected when looking at certain things from a certain perspective.
As if the offness was in the thing and you could see it. And if you want to say that, that's fine. Then you're saying everything with this particular vibration or everything that has this particular pitch of voice is off.
What I heard was more that there was the meaning making that was internal to you as the person seeing it as off, and it didn't have to do necessarily as much on what's on the outside, but like the lenses that we cultivate might provoke particular feelings in us.
Well, for me, the point was to help Alton grok something new. So when I see Alton being old Alton, I know that that is off from the trajectory we're trying to get him on.
Okay. Then what are you going to, so then you have a great opportunity to point at the signifier and say, "Excuse me, Alton, I don't know if this is true, but that picking of your nose, you said you didn't want to do that anymore." You can check in with him. He may be doing it from a completely new space. So yes, rather than being the great diagnostician and pointing out people's stuff, you can use the signifiers to do an inquiry.
Got it.
All right. Weren't they doing that?
I don't know.
I was jumping to a conclusion that because Alton was behaving in a way that I pattern matched as old Alton, that he was not doing the same thing from a new place, which he may have been doing. I guess I'm assuming that my ability to detect him doing it from a new place would have signaled me, but I may have made an improper assumption. And Cray's inviting me to actually check with Alton from a place of curiosity rather than acting like an authority figure that's telling him he's off.
How would Alton know? How would Alton be the authority here?
Because it's his experience. He's the only one inside his head. We'll never know if Alton's telling the truth. We will never know. You never know what's happening in somebody else.
Why?
But we can.
Why would you say he's the only person inside of his head?
As far as I know, there are no other people who have access to what's happening in his experience. I could be wrong. But as far as I understand human beings, we're all solitary within our own experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can tune in to what you think are greater things, but there's no way to prove that you're not just in self-delusion land.
Well, I guess my that wasn't my original question, of course.
Oh,
It's certainly worth talking about if you'd like to. But
I have no desire.
But right now, well, okay, no need to talk about it then. But you did bring it up.
I can bring things up and not talk about them. That's okay. You know?
That doesn't seem true, but
Okay.
but in terms of this, my question was, why would Alton be the authority on his experience? I'm not asking why would someone else be the authority. Why would he?
Because he's aware of it. He's the only one that I know of who can be aware of Alton's experience. That's a conjecture.
But I'm not always aware of my experience. Why would Alton be different? I mean, and it seems like most people aren't always aware of their own experience.
I'm not saying that he's 100%, but he's the only one who can look at it from inside.
Then why is he the authority? That's my question. I'm not
there's
saying
only
why aren't other people the authority. I'm saying, which again, if you want to talk about that, we can, but you said you didn't. Why is he the authority if he isn't aware of all of his experience?
because I can be the authority on something and not be 100% aware of the totality of it. If I'm the only one, if I open up this book right now,
yeah,
and you guys can't see it.
No. Once again, I know it's hard, but I'm not asking about other people right now.
I'm talking about me being the authority of my experience.
But why are you the authority?
I'm trying to show you that, but you don't seem to want to listen to my explanation.
I'm asking not about other people. Why would you be the authority on your own experience if you're not particularly aware of it?
Because I don't.
You're saying that you're more the authority than anyone else, right?
Right.
But I'm saying regardless of other people. I'm not asking about other people.
I'm not. Yeah, I am the authority of my experience.
Why?
Because I'm the only one who knows it.
But you don't know.
I don't have to know the totality of it.
Yeah.
But of what I'm aware of inside me, I'm the only one who can know that stuff. Nobody else has a pipeline in and can see it or experience it.
I know it's very hard to have this conversation without talking about other
people. If you say very hard one more fucking time,
yeah, what will happen?
As bait.
Yeah, what would happen then?
Nothing. You'd continue to be the asshole that you are baiting me with. It's so hard. Why are you saying that? Why are you saying it's so hard? You don't have to say that. But you're choosing to.
Because you said you didn't want to talk about it. And then
okay, why does that mean that you say it's so hard? Why does me saying I don't want to talk about it mean that you have to say it's so hard?
Because you stated what you wanted, and then it wasn't possible to achieve it.
Fine. Next.
So is there somewhere you want us to go, Soryu?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to sync your models on the world.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to equip each of us with more potent ways to move to get more of the lives that we want to live.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
I want AI people to more effectively collaborate and have spiritual tech and convergence around what spiritual tech we want it to operate on.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Seems to me that you've thought a lot about this, and
Excellent.
Got some clues is my story.
Good. Excellent.
Okay. All right, so that's where we are. And, and at the beginning, I was just speaking with Cray around how, well, if we're like truly believers of this, then everything is samsaric, and there's no need to get anywhere. And our compulsion to want to like right this train wreck of a current trajectory is just going to add more offness.
If there's only samsara, then that is true.
Come on, somebody ask him. Come on. That's a big piece of bait there, guys. Come on.
It's not bait. Everyone knows the meaning of the sentence. It's not like there's any question that has to be asked.
Okay.
There's no bait. It's just a simple sentence. Everyone knows the context of samsara and nirvana. It's not like some big secret.
Sounds like an assumption.
Well, has anyone, please raise your hand if you have never heard of nirvana. So there we are.
Hearing the word doesn't mean you understand it.
What's a very popular 90s band?
Only that weren't true.
If from my understanding, from a Buddhist perspective, all of this is samsara. And so if you're a proponent for any one of the spokes, you're asking people to choose one spoke of the samsaric wheel out of all the ones and put themselves onto that for a better result. It's all samsaric.
But that's like that's what we were just talking about earlier when we were saying, you know, there is actually a pathway out of the forest, but that doesn't mean that anywhere you walk in the forest is going to get you out of it. You could walk in the forest your whole life and never walk the path out of the forest. But there is, in fact, a pathway out of the forest. But the only way to get there, you have to walk through. The path out of the forest is through the forest. And then
if you're on the path to get out of the forest, you are once again strapped to the samsaric wheel, thinking that getting out of the forest is the right thing to do. You're applying yourself. You're not stepping into the ever-present moment and releasing yourself from all of the ought tos, the shoulds. You're taking a path because it's going to get you out. Believe me, if you're doing that, that path is going to wind in the forest forever, unless you get the grace of God knocking you on the head with a meteorite.
What's wrong with ought tos and shoulds?
Because what you're doing is you're not in the moment as it is. You're grasping. You're clenching.
But wait, I thought you said that I was the authority of my own experience.
I am. You are. I'm speaking philosophically from a Buddhist, what I think is a Buddhist perspective. I'm talking about a philosophy that if it's all samsaric and your goal is liberation, then you can't hang on to anything. You have to let it all go.
Yeah. But isn't letting it all go the path out of the forest?
But if you're saying I have to let it go to be enlightened, then you're clenching it. That's the difficulty. That's when, again, we're not talking. This is a high level crazy Buddhist crap. Okay, this isn't the beginning stuff. This isn't meditating so you can step back from your.
What you're talking about is not high level Buddhist teaching.
Oh, in my opinion, sorry. In my opinion.
Yes, that is reasonable.
Yes. So here we are. We have a society, and we can fight the bad guys. And that just straps you bigger, more into the duality. You can say that there's an offness out there and we're going to correct it. And that, to me, that just straps you further into the duality of offness, onness.
But didn't the Buddha fight Mara and have a big battle with him and then was able to achieve nirvana?
That's a story that somebody told. Does it make sense when you look at the philosophy of Buddhism? If that makes sense to you, then fine, run with it. That's the story that's enlivening your life. It's a story that was told. Now you can either just open up like the little the little birds and just eat whatever's put in your mouth, or you can look at it and say, wait a minute, this makes sense or this doesn't make sense.
I think my sense of what we were talking about with Alton before is that the thing that knows the truth is not, does this make sense or not make sense? Yeah, there's something else here beyond, does that make sense or not make sense?
Sure.
That is operating.
That's a hypothesis. That's that you can go over and play in that ball field with the made up rules that there's something bigger than us. That's just another kind of sport. It's totally made up. There's nothing verifiable about it.
Mhm.
And
So that's the hypothesis, and you can
Yeah.
go play in that ballpark.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Yes, that's true.
Careful, Trinley.
Careful with what?
Walk slow. Don't jump off anything out here.
What do you mean?
To me, you're walking along the skinny branches, and if you jump from there, there's usually you usually have a branch appear to land on. Because if you jump from where you're at, your old philosophies have nothing more. You'll launch into no space. So just walk slowly is my only request. There's no, whatever. Stop smiling, Yeshe. If you guys want to go out there and make Trump president, fine, have a good time. But that you're in the service of some some isness that wants the world to be in a certain way and wants people. I mean, just go put on your white hoods. Go around and grab them by the crotch until they scream yes. Pick and choose whatever ball game you want to play. Own it. Stop looking at that big daddy in the sky who's telling you the right way to live and which kind of rice to eat or, whatever. Offness, onness. Ugh. As if the universe has an off or an onness. The universe is. There's no off in the universe. It's doing what it's doing. You may not like it. It may offend your sensibilities or your rules or your structures. That's true. Absolutely. That doesn't mean it's inherently off.
Until not too long ago, Cray, certainly you being part of the universe was slightly offensive to me, but I've gotten used to it.
Get used to anything. Ugh. Anyhow.
Have another sip.
No. No.
It's nice and warm. Now that I've had my whiskey, it's already much better.
Yeah, it is. Did you find the 1792?
Not yet.
Oh. Let me know what you think of it.
I will. I was even thinking to asking for your address so I can send you a bottle once I find it.
I would expect you to find me something a little bit weirder than American whiskey.
Okay.
Come on, yo. Aquavite. Come on.
Okay.
Tickle my palate.
That's a challenge I can accept.
I hope you do, because I am looking forward to whatever that is.
Seriously, yeah. Tickling Cray's palate. I may not achieve it.
Yeah.
That's but I can try.
Okay, so where are we at in terms of going somewhere with this call?
Why are you asking me?
I'm asking the group.
What? Why don't you give us your opinion first and check in with us to see how we feel about what you're saying?
Well, I have a desire for this call to bring forth some greater clarity.
About what?
Well, the
How to
original
find
part-
the offness?
Well, I'd say, Cray, that as I was saying, initially my experience of offness about you had to do with my experience of you, but it was my experience. And so it was all
do
going
you
on.
have a point?
Well, it was all going on inside of me.
Yes, offness is internal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how can Dojo help you with like reconciling your inner offness?
You don't have to reconcile it. That's
Eh,
that. You can go full forth into the world to engage with the things that you think are off.
let's say but if you become aware that it's inside of you, then you can play with it differently.
Yeah.
And I think the Dojo has a lot of
Okay, wait a
to
minute.
offer.
Everybody shut up a minute. Yes, Shay, what's going on?
I guess I was wondering if you're a bit nihilistic.
I don't know what you mean by that word.
You seem to be really skeptical about there being something bigger or more. I can't remember how you said it. And I
Yeah,
was-
Big Daddy in the sky. Yeah, people have the experience of there being something bigger. People drop acid, people meditate, people chant, people do, and they all have this experience. That doesn't mean it's externally verifiable.
Are you also arguing for like not engaging with the world to
No, not at all. I am trying my damnedest to get JJ and Alton into getting more of what they think is better into the world. I'm busted my ass in a lot of ways. All right? I am all for people doing above my business is have the life you want to have. If you want to make the world a paradise, by all means, I will do everything I can to help you. But
Great, we're doing it.
maybe.
You really don't have it that there's any clear next steps with this? You just
I don't play in the world where there's a place that we're supposed to be going. I don't think there's a script.
it's like a fun game for me to believe that there's a purpose that I can just generate and then like play with a bunch of friends.
Fine. Then what do you want to generate?
Well, Craig, you talk about fit sometimes.
Yes.
And it seems to me you're rejecting the concept of offness, or you're saying, so are you saying that fit is just something that you make up and you decide whether something
It's
is true?
me. My fit isn't going to be anybody else's.
Okay.
There's a philosophical construct about fit or flow or glove on the hand of God. Those are philosophical constructs. You can use them. You can have them inform the way that you're in your reality, much like meditation, much like the Buddhist principles. You can use those to inform your life. It's just another ball field. It's just another game that if you want to play. If you want to believe that there's a higher good, by all means, have a good time with it.
Do you believe that you're certain that there's not a higher good?
I don't believe I don't believe that there's an entity. I believe that wherever you're at, anybody can point to something and say, this is what I think the higher good is. Hitler had a version of it. Pol Pot had a version of it. Jeffrey Dahmer had a version of it. Okay. Everybody can have a version of what the greater good looks like. Lots of us may not agree with it.
But Cray, I don't think that's true. I think we all agree that Hitler didn't have it, and Dahmer didn't have it, and Pot didn't have it.
From their point of view, they did.
But that's the case.
Yeah, but
with
their point of view is obviously wrong.
No, it's
It
not.
shouldn't be Hitler. That's bad.
That's
Don't do
okay.
That's
fine. Then
I think that's evident to everyone here.
Fine.
Does anybody want to go be Hitler? Even from your perspective of wanting, I don't think anybody wants that. And we don't
Well,
want other people to do that.
Why wouldn't they?
Are you serious? There are so many people who want to be Hitler. Are you kidding me? Really?
I meant here on this call.
I don't know what's in everybody's head. Sorry. That would be a bigoted statement on my part if I said that.
It just, I don't think you actually believe, sure, Hitler, go be Hitler. I don't think you would want that.
Trinley.
I just don't buy that.
Trinley. I used to work in an emergency room, right? Kids would come in and they would be cut open. Okay, and my job was to sew them up. They screamed and yelled at me.
Yeah.
They did not want me to do this, but I did it anyway. I have been with people who have hated me in one moment, and then a year or two later, they're like, "Oh, that was actually very helpful."
Of course.
So, do I know the consequences of Hitler's activities? No. Would I personally want to be a Hitler? All I'm saying is that it's different. You know, Soryu wants to be a monk. Okay, I don't want to be a monk.
That's not true.
You don't want to be a monk?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my assumption.
Why do you make so many of those?
It's just an opinion. Anything that comes out of my mouth is just an opinion. I forget to say, before I say anything, this isn't the truth. This is just an opinion. I think that would stand in the way.
Do you have the opinion that there isn't truth? Do you have the opinion that the only truth is what each person makes up?
Truth is relative. And it's our best guess.
But are you answering or avoiding my question?
I don't think there is an absolute truth. Is there an absolute truth? Like, is there a God? No, I don't think so.
What do you make that mean?
What?
What do you make that mean?
What do I make that mean?
Yeah.
What do I make that mean?
What conclusions are you drawing about Cray, or are you drawing about this conversation based on what you heard?
A lot of Alton's struggles make more sense now that I know that he spends time with Craig.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
No.
What are you trying to say here?
Nothing. I mean,
Nothing.
I said what I said. I meant the thing that I said. I didn't mean something else. I mean, you asked.
How can I be about this? Yeah.
Oh, how can you be about this? What is how can I be about this? What does that mean?
I mean, there's like many different stances I could take towards the world as you see it, that I'm in it as, and from like the set of options of like what characters I could choose to step into, or what version of me I could choose to be. What occurs to you as different ways of being that may not occur to me.
What occurs to me as different ways that you could be in this moment?
Given this context, yeah.
In this context. This context, what occurs to me about how you could be, right? Nothing occurs to me currently, although I could think more about it, other than what you're doing, which as far as I can tell is excellent. I don't have a better option, but I can consider it. If I can take more time and try to think of a better way for you to be.
I mean, as you see it, or in your opinion, that would be valuable for me. I would enjoy that. Yeah.
Okay, let me try to come up with a better way for you to be. Just a second. What would be a better way for you to be? Better way for you to be. That's an interesting question. What would be a better way for you to be in this context? Maybe try, test what would happen if you took Cray as less of like a priestly figure, like a guru figure. I think that might be a better way to be.
I imagine, yeah, Graves generally throughout these years also said stop treating anything else out there like an external authority figure.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't mean that at all. I don't have any problem with people taking. I think it's good actually in more than 99% of cases for people to take an authority figure on the outside. Not in all cases, but in most cases. I just mean in this particular context. I just think it'll be a more coherent space if we apply the things that Cray says to what he says.
Okay. Priestly is that similar to like regarding him as an external authority figure?
Yeah. Or more than that actually. So Cray represents a certain religious sect, Does that make sense?
Or ideologies?
Yeah, sure, right. A certain ideological school.
Beliefs? Okay.
School, yeah. Which is recent, and we saw exactly how it came out of, say, Protestantism or the Enlightenment in the West, where you say there isn't truth, life is about getting what you want, you are the highest authority over your own experience. These are certain faith-based claims that are held by a very substantial number of people nowadays. And it makes up the fundamental ideology of the past 150 years or so. It's falling now, that ideology is breaking apart now and others are replacing it, but it's still quite strong. And so I'd recommend attempting to apply those teachings in a how shall we say, wholehearted way, Does that make sense? So if the claim is there is no truth, well then apply that to that claim. Or this isn't about finding the truth. Apply that to that claim. Or you are the authority over your own experience. Apply that to that claim. Well, that's just one idea since you asked.
Mm-hmm. How will you predict that I will get different results in my life, or what will be different? You said maybe this implies something about less struggling, or
yeah, what would be different if you did that? Why would it be better? That's what you're asking, right?
Effectively to like generate the motivator muscles to close that knowing doing gap.
Yeah, why would it be better to do that?
Or I mean, also my inside view believes that it's also already doing that. It's probably not actually, but it.
Oh, great.
It doesn't.
Well, then I didn't have a better idea after all.
Well, I'm not starting that. I'm saying that if you could help make it more painful for me to see like what are the ways in which I'm shooting myself in the foot by not adopting that sooner, it would provide good motivation for me.
Oh yeah, great. So only in that those claims, those ideological assertions, are wrong. And so they produce suffering for you and others. So those ideological claims are just untrue. Now, of course, from that ideological stance, you say, well, that's what you're saying, so are you. But that's why it's a powerful religion. It
Because it's self-sealing.
yeah, exactly.
And so your assertion that there is a truth looks like what? Distinctly.
Oh yeah, what do you mean? What do you say looks, you mean what does the truth look like? What our actions look like?
Both of those.
What does the world look like?
All that.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Good. What does it look like? So what does the truth look like? Is that the first question?
Yeah, I mean, these aren't things I would previously be an inquiry on because I'm like, why does it matter anyways? Because it's all just made up. But if I imagine that you
Well,
have
that's-
related to truth, that's something that
Perfect.
seems
Excellent.
more.
Yeah, that's excellent. So the truth would be what's left when everything that's made up is dropped. And that is a testable claim.
Okay, this is distinct from like the physics of humans relating, or
Oh, sorry. What do you mean by that?
there's a lot of like from school crave this practice around like there's a certain physics of humanity and a physics of relationshiping and like dance moves that
Oh, so, and physics here means something like laws.
Cross-cultural.
What was that?
Cross-cultural. Pertaining to the human as an idea rather than the human as an individual.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Like more universal, like it cross-cultural in the sense that it would, if it's true across all cultures,
Yeah.
then in my world, then it's something closer to a law or at least a universal truth is how I would phrase it. I don't know if Craig would phrase it that way.
It's hard to find things that are true across all cultures. But even if, I think it's harder to do that than most people think. But even if you were to do that, why would that indicate that it's universal?
Well, to me, it would indicate that it's universal because it's universally true given all present data. So it's more likely to be universal.
I see. Yeah. Got it. And then what do we, and then what do we do with that? We have, if we were to find a physics of relationships.
Back to the truth. What does the truth look like?
And so the physics of relationships tells us that? Is that
The physics so from my perspective, there's some commonalities between all human relationships. There's an I thou, there's power differentials, there's specialness versus non-specialness. Those are just three of them. Wherever you go, in whatever relationship you're in, theoretically, those three things exist. They're not individual. There's something through. So instead of saying, I'm in a power, I'm not going to be in power dynamics, you just relax. You say, hey, whenever you're in a relationship, there are going to be power dynamics. That's okay. That's part of what it is to be human. So you can relax out of it, out of the I shouldn't, I should. That's the reason to look for the physics in my world.
Physics means that it's something that you can't do anything about. Right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Okay, so it's like, so you say the just physical laws, you can't change them. They're just relational laws, you can't change them. Is that the sense of it?
Yep, I think so. Yeah.
Oh. And then that, and why is that relevant to, why did you bring this up in this moment?
To get a felt sense of what your form of like truths were.
Oh, because maybe the truth,
maybe it's the same thing.
Maybe the thing that I'm referring to is that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. So this you could say is actually going in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe I already believe what you're believing too, and we use different words for it.
Right. So it's going in that direction. The only thing is that there are further things that are made up that we would let go of. That's all, to find the truth. Does that make sense? So there are some things that are still made up, even in these physics of relationships, that we would still let go further to find the truth. The truth would be when absolutely nothing made up remains.
Two very different ball fields, Alton,
Yeah.
because it appears that there's a truth in his world, and in my world, it's all made up. Human beings make it up. We don't directly perceive. We always perceive through filters, so it's never going to be the naked truth. And so it's just yeah.
And I would claim two things. One is that it is possible to completely set aside those filters.
Mhm.
I state that that is possible. And second, I claim that that is not just another ball field.
Oh,
That
sorry.
is the
Oh.
that is free of anything you could call a ball field, because a ball field itself indicates it's made up. It's some part of reality, so other parts are filtered, or something like that.
Okay. That's still really challenging for me to try on.
Extremely challenging. Just so challenging. Really unbelievably challenging. It's true. It's true.
Can we relate to it in any way when it's so challenging to have it? Can we even know that we have it? Like, can we even know that we've reached it? And if we can't know if we've reached it,
Reach the
how
truth,
can
you
we?
mean?
Yeah, reach the truth. And if not, how can we relate to it if we can't even know that we have it?
Well, you can just absolutely not make anything up. You can, if you're making something up, you know it. Because you're making it up. So you are doing that thing. So you know you're doing it. And then you don't do that. That's what you can know. You can know if you're making things up.
Is there
Like a
any
self-defining loop.
Is there any useful information to relate to in what you understand that truth to be that one can reach?
No,
No. Okay.
no. It's just pure wisdom. And then information becomes a tool rather than a source of truth. So you don't need to relate to the information, you can just use it.
How do you know what information is?
Because you can, well, I don't know if you have, do you have to know what it is?
You're saying, I think you're saying that there's information and not information.
Yeah, there would be such a thing as the end of all information. That's right.
But you just said you could use the information. How do you differentiate between the information and the not information? How do you differentiate between the stuff you're making up and the real stuff?
Well, as I say, if you're making it up, it is an activity that you are participating in. And so you know that you're doing that. You are doing it. You are intentionally doing it.
If I say this is valuable, is that made up?
Yeah.
So all of your evaluations are made up.
Yeah.
So whether something is information or not is made up.
Of course.
So then how do you ever experience something that isn't made up?
Because you stop making it all up.
Okay.
How do you distinguish between when you're just like at effective projective transference?
Sorry, what was that?
How do you distinguish when you're not just at effect of making up projections and just instantly just believing them because you just take them for granted?
Oh, of course, it's very difficult. I mean, that's so common. A common point would be something like we believe that there's an objective world, right? We have this sense that there really is, that our physical senses refer to something.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to realize, oh, I made that up, right? I mean, neuroscientists now have their little, explanations, but it's another thing entirely to actually realize that. So it's very challenging. But the good news is we have a whole set of technologies that we've been developing for thousands of years that turn out, if you try to use them, to be extremely effective. And it's just step by step, and everybody's different.
It's not religion.
What?
It's not religion. What is it?
Why wouldn't it be religion?
Technology.
What?
The Buddhists are really good at creating certain states of mind. And you can call them single pointedness, you can call them awakening, they're very good at this. Okay? They've been practicing a long time. So they're really good at creating circumstances such that the possibilities of you popping into certain states is high. It's not guaranteed, but it's high.
That's true. That's right.
And that's fine. You
And
can
you
get
can-
to the
Yeah,
you can get to the point of one pointedness.
that's right.
You
You
can
can.
that there's to where it's fine.
That's exactly right.
Right.
It's good. Actually. It's not just fine. It's excellent. It's a good thing.
Well, that's a point of view. A point of view is that one pointedness is a good thing.
Yes, that is a point of view.
That's
And
a point of
more
view.
valid point of view than the reverse.
Says the person who values that. Yes, I understand that.
No.
Objectively, it's a better place to be.
Yes.
Really?
And then beyond that, you can use those states very carefully to leave all states. And that is not made up. That is not a point of view. That is not a perspective.
Then how do you know it happened?
Why would you need to?
Because you want to present some proof to the people who are buying your snake oil. You want to give them something such that they believe you. You just sitting there saying it's very difficult and it's an amazing place. Sure, some people are going to buy into your charisma and they're going to follow you.
There will be those who buy into charisma and follow. Which, of
Yeah.
course, for someone like me is always exhausting, but I accept that.
Yeah.
But there are other people who actually have integrity and will see something that has nothing to do with me and follow that.
Fine. Yep. And guys, if you want to do it his style, have fun. Go do it. He's speaking from a real ball field. He's not just Tony Robinsoning this and making up something. He's not Jim Jonesing this, okay? He comes from a very serious lineage where people have put in a lot of work, and it creates a certain kind of experience.
But the
If you
important thing-
want that kind of
what
experience,
matters most is that while it's true that the whole path through the woods creates experiences, that's right. There is the non-creation of experience. There is the cessation of the creation of experience.
yeah, I personally, I don't want that one. I don't like that
Oh.
one.
No one wants that one.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's
No
like
one wants.
I like being a human being. I
Exactly.
like so
That's
yeah.
exactly.
Norman said, "Is that not death?" in the chat.
Oh, did someone say, how's that not death? That's a great question. Who said that?
Norman.
Norman?
Norman, who's on video earlier? He's just muted his video.
Oh, he made the video? Who's Norman?
Norman, would you be willing to say hi or unmute your video? Here he is.
Hey. Hi. Hi, Norman. I can only see half of your face. Could you just go up an inch? Oh, now I can still only see half of your face. A little. Oh, hi. Great. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, that's good. Hi there. Hey. That's a great question.
Your response.
What was that?
I'm dying to hear your response.
Oh,
I hope not.
very clever. Yeah, it's not. So actually, the first thing we should investigate is, what do you mean by death, right? Isn't that an important question? Because I have the sense that when you say death, you're assuming the sort of like nothing, right? You just like nothing. Isn't that what you mean?
An
If
eternal.
it's not, then you should not just agree. You should say, no, that's not what I mean. I mean this.
An eternal nothing where nothing can be further created, to me feels like death.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
An
One more
eternal
time?
nothing where nothing can be created to him feels like death.
Oh, an eternal nothing in which nothing can be created feels like death. Right. So then the thought is that you go through this process, you create experiences, you then experience the non-creation of experience. That is just nothing. And then that goes on forever. And that would be what many people understand to be death. Do I understand you correctly or not? If I don't, then please correct me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. So yes, that's a very common belief about what death is, and certainly something to discuss. You know, is that what death is? That's very important to examine. Because if we assume that that is what death is, we will make decisions accordingly. And those decisions may be harmful if that assumption is incorrect. But that isn't your question, so we won't deal with it now. The first point is, would this experience of just nothing forever be the thing that I'm referring to? And the answer, I'll say very briefly, and then I'm happy to talk about it as much more as you'd like. The answer is no, that is not what it is. It's not an eternal nothing. That would be a state. Does that make sense?
So you're saying there exists a state beyond states,
Yeah, it's not a state.
exists outside of even life and death.
Yeah, it's totally it's normally described, in fact, as the end of birth and death. So end here means that the process of birth and the process of death don't occur, and therefore the state that you're referring to wouldn't be the thing that we're talking about. It is vibrant, and it is beautiful, and it is blissful, and it's peaceful, and it's unimaginable. And so there isn't really a reason, despite the fact that it is perfect well-being, there isn't a reason to try to define it, because other than what Cray was saying, that it's sometimes important to explain things so that people can try things. But it doesn't actually, the definitions don't help for understanding it. It's something that we directly experience.
How could it be vibrant?
So vibrant. It's the most vibrant, meaningful. It's actually, that's a good way to put it. So typically we find more and more meaning in life, but the thing that we're referring to is just the highest, most beautiful, unhindered meaning.
Ah,
Yeah, and it's quick and lively and unexpected. And
If it's nothing, how could it be full of meaning?
but I never remember. I didn't say it was nothing. In fact, I said it's not nothing. Nothing is a state. It's not that.
how is nothing a state?
Well, when he says, it's a good question, and maybe I'm wrong, and we can ask him. But when you consider there's this eternal nothing.
Ah, so like the qualia of eternalness.
You're right. With nothing happening. Maybe that's what we're talking about. Is that what we're talking about?
Norman?
I think my brain has 404 errored.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Is there-
great.
Is
Lovely.
when you say that there exists, and it is like there is the idea of nothing, which is that like the idea of an eternal blackness or whatever.
Right.
And then there is at least the concept of a truer nothing than that. Do you believe that a truer nothing exists? That's actually not the state, but the absence of the state entirely.
Yeah, it's actually a really impressive question. Because what Craig was talking earlier about all of these states that you can enter into with Buddhist techniques, and the thing that Norman is referring to is one of these states that you can enter into. And again, it's highly advisable to enter into the state that he's talking about. It's wonderful, and it makes us into more caring people. But that doesn't mean that it's like true or something. It's still a conditioned state that you produce through meditation, and which passes away once those causes fall away. Then there are even more refined states than that, just as you say, of even more nothing than the thing he's talking about. Even more nothing. And then there are more states beyond that, which are even more nothing. And yet the thing that we're talking about when we say nirvana is not nothing.
So we say that it becomes less and less, more
Right.
and more nothing, but then there is a certain point
Yes.
that's not nothing, but the closest that you can get to nothing.
It's not even nothing, right?
Is it beyond nothing or before nothing? Like, does the nothingness increase until before it's nothing or beyond nothing?
I'm not sure I understand the difference.
If we say that there is 100 qualia right now, and then we go into
Yeah.
more and more nothingness, and when we're at only 10 qualia, then we
Exactly.
feel like, oh, now I'm in a really nothing state. But
Yeah,
then you
right.
go to 9, 8, and you're
Exactly.
like, wow, it's even more nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Where it's
Yeah.
this state that we're referring to, that is the state that's not nothing, but the absolute state. Is
Yeah,
that
so zero.
it's not zero,
It's zero.
it is zero.
It's zero.
That sounds pretty nothing.
Of course it does. But that's just because you can't imagine what it, you know, there isn't a clear way to talk. That's why people say that nothing includes everything. They say things like that, but, but it actually isn't helpful to say things like that, because then your mind thinks, which we don't, which isn't helping.
If I'm in the zero qualia state, this is nirvana.
It's not a state.
Okay, if I'm in the if I'm in the stateless state, if I'm in the stateless, then is it like I have such a sensitivity that I could not have because I'm normally interacting with states and I'm experiencing something on a deeper level?
Well, the important thing that happens if you experience nirvana is that then you're not afraid, which means that you automatically help.
What? What? You're not in fear, so you automatically help. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's an interesting something. I don't know.
So with enough nothings, it becomes an infinity.
Norman, shut the fuck up, would you? Shut the fuck up. They have to do it. You don't. Stop it, Norman, please. You're better than this.
Okay. This is totally normal.
Yep. It is. It is totally normal.
Yeah.
What is totally normal?
Well, it's a very hard situation, you know, because as they say, it's very tricky. We're in a hard situation, and I'm in a hard situation because, as they say, you know, you go to someone else's altar, you should worship at their altar. So I've come to praise altar.
It's not mine, you jackass. I'm here as a guest to Alton.
So I should worship at that altar.
Alton.
I'm not saying it's not.
That's I come here and I prostrate myself to the higher Alton every goddamn week, okay? I don't like it, but I'm at his altar.
I'm just saying, of course it can be his altar because he's here, but it's in the same way that a priest would come, or in Buddhism, a priest will come to your home and chant at your altar, but they're the priest. And in that way, you'd say it's a Buddhist altar and they're the representative. So you're the priest at Alton's altar. And so it isn't, and so it's true, it's somewhat inappropriate for me to, more than I am invited, take that role.
Is that the truth of it?
It's a reasonable tradition.
Okay, so it's not the truth of it. It's a reasonable tradition. So you're acting from what you think is a reasonable tradition. Okay, so does Trump. From his point of view, it's a reasonable cultural norm to do what he does.
But how are you the authority on Trump's point of view?
It's my opinion, remember? I keep forgetting to say that. But it's my opinion that Trump believes that his is a normative situation, that he's doing the things that in his culture are normal and right and make sense to him. That's a hypothesis.
Yeah, okay, so my upstream intent or interest here was to like learn how the philosophical underpinnings of what animates both of you
Yeah.
could converge
Yeah, right.
or not.
Exactly.
And then for me to like pick up those pieces or to learn how to.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I think it's helpful to have some of this. I just have to be sure not to overstep.
Well, I welcome you to I mean, it's like Craig could take it. He's like a grown man, where adults is where I have it that
Overstep, so are you. Overstep. You have my blessings. Overstep. My invitation, my request, my entreaty, my begging. Whatever I need to say, such that you overstep. Or your handmaiden. Either one. Probably not.
Are you protecting anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Oh, but you're aware of what would happen if you did not pray at this altar.
I was just invited to come. Right?
Yes.
Do we need Alton to invite you to overstep? Because
No,
I'm
no, no.
really bought into you overstepping.
I don't know what it
I
means,
would like
but I
to see
voted.
that.
No, it's up to me how I behave.
So there's nothing we can do to entice you into overstepping, whatever that means for you.
What would overstepping mean to you?
Why don't we just have them do it or create the clearing? So that's the only path forward.
What would overstepping?
That would be the strongest selling for Maple in my world.
Would be what?
Like having like a taste of you overstepping in a way, and then like living like the human life while also being integrated in the world in this way, and that like be super relatable.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Alton. Are you saying that as he's showing up now, he's unrelatable to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Such is the difficulty when you wear robes.
Oh, yes, you say about Trunkpa, didn't he? Wore plain clothes like a police
Yep.
officer.
Trunkpa took his robes off because he understood that Americans do too much distancing in the I thou with people who are wearing robes. And he couldn't get his point across.
I mean, who knows why Trunkpa took his robes off?
That's what he said.
Oh, I'm going to repeat. Who knows why Trunkpa took his robes off?
Yeah, I have no idea. Nobody knows.
I didn't say that either.
Sorry.
That's the question of who knows.
Presumably Trumpet did it for a reason that you may have an inside track on.
There are people who certainly have an inside track. I wouldn't suggest that I'm one of them. No,
Okay.
I'm not even part of his.
Zen Cohen
school.
for us.
No, he's not a Cohen at all. I just don't know him, but I know people who know him.
Knew him.
Yeah.
Or no, know him. He's supposedly reincarnated.
I mean, but in any case, it's hard to say why it's hard for us to say why he took off his robes with much accuracy.
Wait, well, I want to update my beliefs. I think that I'm relating to the parts that like want to go out or all out or play more intensely in the world, but are choosing not to based on some arbitrary conditioning that I believe that I've inherited, and then I'm very happy to justify that to the end of days, and that feels smaller, and I feel less alive or as human as I imagine otherwise when I hear you speak about this particular dynamic. And so I'm wanting to permission or expand the space for you to own and out whatever other flavors or to dance in that other version of you that could be. Because I selfishly believe that you, by modeling it as a teacher and representative of this work, it would help me live more and grow into that.
Marry him, JJ, right now. Right now. That was superb, Alton. Superb.
It's a tool.
Can I put some of that at your feet, JJ?
Yes, please.
No, I'm just saying, can I hold you accountable for what he just did?
I don't understand.
JJ, I'm speaking to you.
I think I have a part in it.
No thinking, please.
Hmm.
Own it or
you.
don't. It's a story, JJ. Pick the story that you want to live into.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm tracking a lot of this. I don't know what's happening. You know what's happening, JJ?
But Alton did something that Cray was very impressed by, and he attributed some of that to the way that JJ has been impacting Alton, or maybe her presence in this moment. And he wanted JJ to own the accepting that she had some impact on that. Thus potentially blooming both of them simultaneously.
He's good. That's why I don't invite him to immersions anymore. Everybody keeps looking to him. And he explains everything so they don't have to figure anything out.
Oh. Okay, how do we? Okay.
Hello, Rosie.
How do we translate it? Sorry.
I did.
I mean, I still also forget it, but
So you made a request, or you said something to Soryu, and then Cray was impressed, and we all got derailed by Cray being impressed. So maybe we could complete on your question.
But is that what I saw was people were talking to Soryu. Cray said, "Shut the fuck up." People were responding to Soryu again. Cray redirected. I'm getting a sense there is a sense maybe there's overstepping. This has to be about Cray's thing. And that's fine. But I don't know. Is there something going on there, Chris?
To me, Alton demonstrated, asked Shoryu. He explained that he has certain self-limiting beliefs about himself that don't allow him to step outside of his belief about who and what he should be. And I think he was asking Soryu, could you please model that for us? Could you model stepping outside of whatever the definitions you have of yourself is to engage with somebody else in a way that isn't defined by your box so much? And
that was a very vulnerable moment between Soryu and him. And
yes.
Then there was a you stepping in, and I was curious about that.
I got to save Soryu from having to engage with that.
Oh.
Give him time to think.
There's a kindness. Got it. Okay.
Okay, that's really sweet. That's a great story.
So now that you've had time to think, and Cray has been so sweet.
Oh. Yes,
I feel good about how I've been, so feel free to thank JJ.
But I believe
as I say, I feel good about how I've been.
And
I have heard the requests.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're declining the request.
I'm not declining the requests. I'm just now I've received it, and that will have an impact, and now we'll continue on.
Okay. So the request has been received, but whether or not something happens, you're not taking agency over.
No, Josh, something has happened. Something has happened. He heard it. Something has happened. Now, whether he responds in a way that Alton wants him to respond, that's a different thing. But something has happened. He's received the information, and he's processing it as he processes it, and finding the reasons for doing whatever he's doing, and then we move on.
Okay, I just want to also name Alex, who's joined, who's also helping translate with very high fidelity last couple days ago.
Hello, Alex.
Hi, Soryu. Hi, Alton. Hi, Autumn.
Hello.
Hi, Zev.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Very good.
How can I be of help?
How can you be of help?
Experience myself and or sorry you not knowing what's happening when it seems like something really valuable is happening for other people. I don't know. Okay, that's what I'm getting from today.
What are you getting?
It seems like there's a pattern of Soryu and or Alton not understanding what's happening when other people seem to be getting a lot of value about something that's happening. There's
Some people like sushi, some people don't.
Okay.
Just because it's important for me doesn't mean it's important for you.
Mhm.
I don't understand what you don't understand.
Okay, I'm wanting to, okay, let's see. How can I have Alex's support? Alex, you can help translating Soryu and pray.
I think you're getting some sort of value from the state you're in right now, but you're discrediting it because you're
I
not.
think you're getting some sort of value.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of juice from this one, definitely. Oh, I guess I'm going to answer Alex's question of how he can support, because I feel like it's uniquely able to translate with very high fidelity.
Yeah. Enough of the sales pitch. Just get to it.
Okay, so Alex, can you help converge Cray and Soryu's belief sets?
What distinctions are you seeing? Or what are the bridges that you think can't be crossed or having trouble getting crossed?
It seems like both of them are implying that their worldview encompasses the other person's worldview.
No. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying there's different ball fields. I'm not saying mine encompasses his.
I mean, that in and of itself is a ball field.
So you don't think that what I'm talking about is a ball field?
No, you have a ball field. You have a belief system. You have a bunch of rules, regulations, definitions, reasons why, and people can come to your place and they can engage with you, put on your uniforms and do your practices, and they'll have your experience.
But isn't
hopefully?
But aren't you currently putting what Soryu does into your ball field?
No, I'm describing it. I'm playing hockey. He's playing baseball.
Yeah, but
I can describe baseball.
But to call what Soryu is doing a ball field is putting it into your ball field that everything.
Oh, yes, that there isn't one truth, that there are multiple ball fields. Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the crux of it, is what I'm saying. And then it occurs to me that Soryu advocating for like that there is a truth that exists when you take away everything else. That does seem mutually exclusive to what you're saying, and also implies that he is encompassing your worldview too.
If he was right.
Right. So it just seems like that there's a fundamental discrepancy there.
Yep.
My idea is that I'm the type of character that can traverse both of those realms and bridge them using some sets of words like these, and or Alex's translation.
Good luck, Alex.
Sorry, can I
hope you have a beautiful mind.
To your account of what's going on?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear what you said, Alex.
Can you speak to your account of what's going on? I've heard from Alton and Cray now and Autumn. I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, so I already mentioned this, but yeah, it's good to say it again. My account is that we are in a certain religious ceremony with certain ideological faith-based claims. And I'm at an altar of kind of a postmodern humanist approach to life. And there has been some interest in my approach to life and in the approach to life that I learned that is not mine, that isn't anyone's. And then I've talked about that. And then I think Alton's hope is that since he sees, so there I am in this context, he's brought me into this context. And I believe that what's happening is that he hopes that Cray and I will find some way to collaborate because we both offer valuable things to various people. And the hope would be that we might be able to collaborate based on finding some view that isn't mutually exclusive, on which we could base our shared efforts, support, plans. And so he's hoping that you might be able to help with that.
I see. Does that sound like a fair summary, Alton?
That was very clear to me. I would like them to collaborate. Seems like my friends don't get along, and I want them to get along better.
Very good.
Okay.
Wow.
And I want to play similar games with them, and they're like, "Well, I want to play by these rules," and my other friends are like, "No, I want to play by these rules." I'm like, "Okay, but like, how about we can just hang out?"
Yeah, that's reasonable. I bet I don't. Is it, Craig? Do you think it's necessary to hold the same worldviews in order to collaborate?
No.
What'd you say?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there needs to be like some threshold amount of them.
Would you agree with that, Craig?
We both have to speak English or have translators.
Yeah, I'm hoping Alex can translate some of this. And
Hey,
I mean, I just don't experience a lot of buy-in from either of you guys at all for almost any interest in anything that has to do with anything that each of you are saying. So I guess I feel.
I have and just to be clear, Alton, I have a great deal of respect for the science of Buddhism and the philosophy of Buddhism. I think it's a hell of a game. I don't want to play that way. It's just me. I like playing hockey.
But I think his question is there nonetheless a way we could collaborate?
Not if I don't want to.
I feel stuck energy. Just stuck. It's just stuck and swirling and nothing's happening. Just words and words. And like vibrationally, it's just stuck here. I feel my head going boop, 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 but nothing's actually really happening. And it's nothing. And it's like a resistance to feeling nothing happening.
Yeah, my guess is if Cray and Sawyer were in the same room and we could have what is it, like mud wrestling, and then they did like 2 minutes mud wrestling, maybe after that it would like all resolve itself.
Oh.
But even the resolution is attempting to resist the nothing that's actually happening. There's a deep nothingness here, and it's kind of tragic. Like everybody's trying to figure something out, but it's like nothing is actually happening.
So where do you locate the nothingness from? If you were an intellectual, I don't think if you were an adolescent masculine philosophical type, I think you might be entertained by this. But where in your being is the nothingness located, if anywhere? Does that make sense?
Who are you asking? Everyone?
No,
Me?
Leela.
Oh,
yes.
Everywhere. It's like,
okay, so your entire being has the experience of nothing is happening here. Even your intellect.
no, the intellect is entertained.
Thank you. Yes. So now the question is that it's not that nothing's happening, it's that there are, in my translation of yours, my opinion, there are things that are more valuable to you than intellectual engagement, and you don't feel them happening here, and you would want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
point.
Good point.
Can I share one potential major discrepancy between how I'm imagining Cray and Sori viewing the world?
Yes, that sounds great.
No, you can't.
Okay.
If you're going to ask permission, no, you can't.
All right, I'll ignore you,
Overstep.
Cray, right there. It seems like part of I'm getting a vibe from how you, Cray, are talking about how there are different perspectives one can take. And in some sense, they're maybe not quite equally valid, but like I basically heard you employ reasoning of the form like, well, that's how you see things and that's how I see things. And they're basically incomparable. Whereas my model of Soryu recognizes that there are different ways of seeing things, but is also very attuned to even if they can't, there aren't like direct immediate translations between them, how some ways of looking at things can still be more truthful or less self-contradictory than others. That I think is something I at least feel energetically a lot in contact with how Soryu talks, that I'm not feeling very much in contact with you, Cray.
Okay.
Okay.
You're telling me about a personal bias you have. Okay, fine.
Oh, what do
I
you
don't
think
like
is my
I don't like
personal bias?
sushi. You say you don't like it. You say that with you're saying that with Shoryu that you feel a certain thing. With me, you feel another certain thing. If I'm in front of a hamburger, I feel a certain thing. If I'm in front of a plate of sushi, I feel a completely different thing. Yes, you're talking about your personal experience and your personal biases and how you make sense of the two of us. And I'm like, I don't know you. I don't. And yes, you're speaking as if it makes sense.
I see. Yeah, I think, thank you for validating my intuition. I think
What?
I think it's not just a bias on my end for me to think you, Cray, are way more full of shit than Soryu is.
That's fine. Great. There's a bunch of people down south who think that women should be barefoot and pregnant. Just because they're in the majority doesn't make them right.
Oh, I don't think I'm in the majority, actually.
Well, yeah, whoever it is that you're with.
No, it's not about who I'm with. It's about my discernment of truth being better than yours. And
Okay,
Soryu's discernment
great.
of truth being better than yours.
Great. That's great. I have Trump saying that he thinks that he has the truth. Now I have Alex saying he has the truth. Yeah, so what?
And I have Cray saying he thinks he has the truth.
I don't have the truth. I have an
Like he's not saying
opinion.
that.
I have an opinion.
This is where intellect goes, you naughty boy.
Yes.
This is where it leads to conflict.
Leela,
Naughty boy.
Leela, you know the other places go to conflict too. Don't make it about the intellect. Come on.
It's my
You
job
know it.
to steer the way
Yeah.
direction because I know the conflict's coming.
The conflict is here. It's an intellectual conflict. I agree with you. I think that you enjoy other kinds of conflict much more. I do too. I'm barely hanging on to myself here.
Well, I feel like the people in the group intuitively, because I'm an intuitive woman, are addicted to intellectual conflict.
Really?
Yes.
Are you a Buddhist bigot? Is that what you're saying?
I'm a what? What? What did he say? I didn't know I missed
I'm
it.
saying they're adolescent masculines.
Oh.
This is what they do. Doesn't matter how old their bodies are. Doesn't matter what plumbing bits they have. It's an adolescent masculine orientation to the enormity of reality, to be philosophical about it and argue about the minutia without dancing or fucking or eating or shitting. You know, they go up here and they do this stuff and they talk about lots of words. That's what they do.
Do you think you really understand Buddhism well enough to make
No,
that
I don't.
sweeping
It's
claim?
an opinion. How would you know? How would I know if I understood Buddhism? Do you think the Buddha comes down and puts a little stamp on my head and says, "You know enough now"? How would I know if I know enough?
Do you
Good
think
God,
we should take
Alex.
seriously anything you say as opposed to just
No,
dismissing
do
it
not
as
take
whatever?
anything I say seriously.
Alex, who is Cray reminding you of?
Don't go there, Leela. Don't go there. Don't go
Probably
there.
some parent projections. Doesn't matter though. I don't think that matters very much.
Doesn't the intellect matters more than that?
I don't know where you're trying to go with that.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going to that. Now, if you've been speaking to somebody Leela, who is more conversant in your philosophy, in your ball field, they would have gone inside and checked. And they would have seen the weight of the intellectual argument versus the parental thing. And if they were in your ball game, they would say, you know what? Fuck the intellect. This stuff is way more important as a human being. But Alex, I don't think, my personal projection is Alex doesn't play that game. That's the simple of it. That's my bigoted, pejorative viewing of it.
But he wants to.
Well, you can say everybody wants to be enlightened.
But he wants to.
How do you know that?
Beyond the words he's saying, his whole
No. That's an assumption on your part. You can't say, you can say, I think he wants to.
Okay, I think he wants to.
Right.
I feel
Alton,
he wants. It's not.
Can I ask you a question?
I ask you a question. You're asking him a question.
Alton.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
What's
just
what is it that you find so impressive about Cray?
That, like, I think he was sharing it, that his capacity to own out and dance through the whole range. And I experienced a lot of Buddhist friends that have been co-opted by that belief set seem to be incredibly just very flat and are like, oh, we just meditate. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a really big waste of life. And
That's true. That's a waste of life.
and that's just those are my priors. And I make up that sorry and Zev or other friends do have a broader range and palette.
Yeah.
But I don't see them making what seems like for like you making concrete in my world concrete differences in other people's lives, or like Craig's thing where all the relationships seem to bloom in his wake and people live way more full online lives. That's how I see it. And I haven't spent that much time yet with sorry, a couple of days, and like the last time when you were here too. And that's the flavor of the interaction. And I'd like to broaden the dynamic range of all of those interactions. And I also have it that I can use my shiny hammer as a forcing function of you're making a lot of faces to get more attention and platform to wait, you're still making more. What's going on?
You're approaching the end of your contract, my friend. You just keep it up and I will be set free.
Okay, great. That sounds like a win-win situation.
Alex, do you prefer exiting this call feeling like you're more right than Cray? That's your highest preference?
I just want to say thanks for sharing that context, Alton. And I do want to say that I do respect a lot about Cray and think there is a lot I can learn from him. And I think I better get like where you're coming from and your vibe with this whole thing after you shared that. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I just want my friends to be able to play more, and I'll feel less lonely if more friends have more shared language. So that's my selfish intent from all this. And if I can resource them through relationships or connections or other resources, then I'm happy to do that, like by being here and looking foolish a lot of time.
No.
Wow.
Thanks, Alton.
I'm sorry, JJ. I'm not putting this. Unless you're doing some really weird voodoo.
I credit a lot of this to JJ. Absolutely.
Anyhow.
But for context, I once had a session with Cray with Alton present, and I found it somewhat helpful, like more helpful than if Cray weren't there. So I'm speaking genuinely when I'm saying I have respect for Cray and that I think there's much I can learn from you, Cray.
I don't want your respect.
That's fine.
I find respect to be very pretentious.
Alex, what are you feeling in your belly?
Some tension.
What does the tension feel like?
Go slow, Leela. Slow down.
I don't feel very invested in continuing this line of questioning. Not because I don't think there's anything interesting there. It just doesn't feel very appealing to me right now.
May I offer you something, Leela?
Yeah.
Don't rely on your ability to create sentences. Depend upon your ability to evoke their engagement. How you're being, how you're sitting. Don't find the right diagnosis or the right thing and polish it really nicely.
Oh.
That's just that you're doing a weird kind of philosophical shit.
Oh.
Okay? So the benefit that you're going to bring to these guys, okay, is not your intellect, although it's part of it. You're not looking to outthink them. You're not looking to outlabel them. You're not looking to be able to follow a line of logic that they can't and get your importance that way. Your ability to be there seated as the vibrating, stereotype, feminine, and the invitation for them to step out of that little prison of theirs. Anyhow.
I don't know how to do that.
If you start speaking your own truths in that kind of way, you're going to get, the universe is going to deliver to you many opportunities to practice.
Oh.
And that is going to be rough, because the universe is going to say, you need to learn how to speak this new language really fast and effectively. That's my story. Not a truth, it's a story.
Are we at time?
Thank God.
No, we have 15 minutes left. Thank him later.
I feel like a lot of energy in the belly area, in my belly, that's like feeling shoved down and repressed, and like a lot of just tingly, hyper, like almost
Stop
like
describing it and go do something with it, for God's sakes.
do something about it.
Do something with it. Don't describe it. You're a feminine. Dance with it. Embody it. You don't. It's not about putting on a show. Are you with Chris?
Not in the same room.
Oh God! Yeah. Are you in the same house?
No.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, I know something you could do with it.
Yeah. God, isn't that romantic? God. You need to work on your lines, Chris.
Oh, I'm good.
No, you're not. You're poor.
She actually dance.
Okay.
Oh, he was saying she could dance.
It's like it's a term from Dojo realm where like you do a specific move that evoke.
I think he was literally saying dance.
No, with Leela, I'm saying literally dance. She knows it. I knows it.
Man, would you do that for 15 minutes?
No, don't. Leela, so you have to be really careful when you're embodying the stuff that's going on for you. You make really sure that you're not on stage.
Yeah.
You have to be super freaking clear, because they do not understand priestess activities, and they're going to make it into stripper activities. That's exactly what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
All right. So you be real clear that when you're doing your work, don't have any adolescent masculines watching, because you'll be on a stage and they won't know what they're seeing.
And I'll be spat upon.
No, you won't. Worse.
Yeah.
You'll be sexualized. You'll be objectified.
But it isn't necessarily true that unless, I don't know people here that well, but maybe people here are mature enough to watch that dance.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Oh, okay. No,
They can watch it.
You know them much better than I do.
No, I don't. I know them not at all. You know them. You probably have more information about them than you do. I'm just very bigoted. It's an adolescent masculine culture, and they've all come up with it with no models about how to be an adult masculine, especially in the face of a practicing feminine. And this is all projective on my part.
Leela? Is that how I say your name? Layla? Leela? Leela?
Yeah.
This is Soryu. Now I'm not asking you to do anything that you don't want to do. Would you like to try to help the group to be able to watch you dance? And if of course, if Cray's projection is right and we can't do it, then that's totally fine.
So I'm going to get angry a little second here. This is a strong feminine who's been raised in adolescent masculine culture, who became very good in her masculine way to become a success. And she's trying to step into becoming a feminine version of herself. And you're going to risk her newness with them not being able to do it? No. You do not get to risk her newness with their callousness or their inability to language it. They're not going to it's not that they're not going to be able to hold it. They can all sit there like little zombies and hold themselves still. That's not the point. The point is that she's going to be dancing and they should be responding to it. But in my world, they're going to respond to it like an adolescent masculine is. They might hold themselves very still, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. And I'm willing to put, to step out and say, no, you do not get to take this chance. Now she can she can override me. That's fine. I'm not willing to risk the feminines in the face of an adolescent masculine culture. Josh has the best intentions in the world, and he still mansplains left and right. And he still does the adolescent masculine sexualizing. He's a great guy. He's very, very good at what he does. But it's got him by the balls. Anyhow, that's me on a soapbox.
How do I get my balls free from that?
Talk to JJ.
Will do.
Don't. You stay inside yourself, young lady. Leela. Anyhow, that's Cray on a soapbox.
Thank you.
Don't thank me. Thank your pillow. Pay it forward. I'm just doing what I do.
I really enjoyed in the beginning when you smacked me after I pointed out Alton's high voice.
Mm-hmm.
You held that whip so beautifully.
So, JJ, the tones are exquisite. And I'm going to ask you, open your eyes and look at the pixels and the people around you. You have to, I don't think they're hearing the tones. I could be completely wrong. In order to impact the adolescent masculines, you're going to have to use words. You're going to have to use labels. They don't fit the movement. Trinley, I can see you shaking your head.
I am shaking my head.
So you're a musician?
Sorry?
Are you a musician?
I'm not. No.
Oh, okay.
Finley, I'd love to hear what's your experience like right now. Finley.
What's my experience like right now? I have the experience of Cray saying he honors the feminine, but not doing so with his actions.
I told you, JJ. So, Trinley, can you ask the two feminines that I've interacted with if they think that I've honored them? My actions have honored them, in their opinion?
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
Pick one.
Yeah, JJ, do you think his actions honored the feminine?
I feel really held by Cray.
Do you think his actions honored the feminine?
So remember, he's an adolescent masculine. He thinks his words and his labels are important. You have to respond to them. Meet him where he's at. Reflexive listening.
The way that I'm perceiving the situation is that he stepped in to name
JJ, shut the fuck up. Yes, he honored me as a feminine. Try that out. I understand they're short, they're simple, they're the words that he's going to hear. I'll smack you again with that kendo stick.
I'm feeling into the sensation of my chest, so I'm going to take a moment and do that.
Oh, yeah. Leela's asking for some attention, Trinley. Ask her the question, Trinley. Leela.
I believe that in Leela's case, the answer would be yes.
You
I
haven't
wasn't shaking
heard
my
it
head
from
there.
her.
I was shaking my head here.
Right.
I believe you, Layla. I believe that your feminine was honored by Craig.
You haven't heard her opinion yet. That's your conjecture. Stop mansplaining. Meet her where she's at. Ask her for her truth. It is, Leela, it's this hard. I'm trying to lead him with simple instructions. And he's saying no. And he gets
What
to
is
be
that
right.
happening for you, Leela? What's going on with your side?
I feel a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
About what, Leela?
Yeah, say more.
I feel very held and safe with the way Prey is operating and holding space and being himself as a woman, because it's very beyond the mind and intuitive and energy. And so it's not about the idea of how he's behaving based on societal things. It's like beyond, and it's just sad that how easily people that operate that way or like hold space in that way could be attacked and judged and unseen by a lot of people. And yeah, and it's just sad to see that the medicine he carries isn't well received by those who most need it, probably.
Yeah, if you hadn't said probably.
Oh.
JJ,
So
you're running out of time.
Am I hearing what you're saying, Leela? If I were to read between the lines, that
why between
yes, Cray is doing the feminine, and I need to yes, Cray is protecting the feminine, and I need to receive that, and I'm unable to do so.
It's not about protecting the feminine or not. It's about the fact that he has medicine for you, and you're busy judging him.
As if the feminine needs protecting.
It's sad to see that you're fighting and judging and mentally masturbating the medicine he's offering you. Because of what you were brought up in your culture, like in society, and what you were trained to think a good man is and like a good boy is. What respect actually is.
My experience of the situation was JJ beautifully expressing and receiving that, and Cray saying that was not it. That was my experience of the situation.
Your presentation sucks.
Thank you.
It feels like Cray consistently holds frames that I find so much joy in and more self-expression and self-connection. And it feels like a different lens than the one that I get to pour nourishment into when I'm in the session with you, Trinley. And they both feel so nourishing and so enlivening and so growthful in very different ways. And they are very different flavors. And they touch different parts of me.
I didn't mean to make you have to feel like you were choosing between two people in your life.
I'm not choosing between anybody. I'm rather appreciate.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that you were able to do that. But I apologize if you ended up in that circumstance.
Any fire, JJ? You got any fire in there whatsoever? Or are you just going to be nice and sweet and calm and safe for everybody? Can I go, Alton?
Nice. Wow.
Cray, how do you honor your parents? Your mother and your father?
They're dead.
So you don't, because they're dead?
They're how? So see if you can rephrase it without all the pejorative language.
What pejorative language?
Honor, mother, father. What are you saying?
What's pejorative about that? My question.
I don't know what you mean by
plain.
honor. I don't dress like either of them.
How do you respect them?
I respect them as they did their extremely difficult lives as best as they could. Is that
Can you say more what you mean by that?
they had
Is
very
that-
terrible lives. They
Uh-huh.
did the best they could. They passed down some of the horribleness onto me,
Uh-huh.
and they passed down some of the not horribleness on me,
Uh-huh.
and that's it. I don't understand what your question is. You seem to be coming from some place that honoring your mother and father has a very known reality. And you can tell when somebody's doing it or when somebody's not. Not my culture.
I see. Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
answered my question.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so what's the conclusion here? How do we all sync up here? What are we leaving with here?
There is no conclusion. You dance further.
Oh wait, that's a good conclusion.
Can I go now?
Any last questions? Sorry, you have any last comments in here?
No, this is great.
Okay. Well, I acknowledge you for.
Oh, stop it. Don't you dare.
Okay, here you just.
Good God. Shut up.
Bye, Cray.
Goodbye.
So weird.
Have a good
Can I
night,
go,
everyone.
Alton?
Yes, Craig, you can go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well.
That was a lot.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
Bye, friends.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
y'all. Bye, everyone.
I will have a couple more minutes on here if anyone wants to debrief around this, but
Oh, great.
I got.
Oh, yeah.
Good. What do we have here?
Finley,
Good.
Norman.
Yeah.
Colton,
Oh, we got Dakota, I think, on audio.
I've been here listening and analyzing. That was
Oh.
fucking awful.
Wait, what?
Awful. She said it was awful.
You want to
So-
take
You
a
you said painful.
Painful?
Yeah, awful, painful, excruciating, especially the last few like dances that were happening. I just like, oh, say it with potency. Like, stop fucking lying.
Yeah, well, I don't think they know that they're lying to themselves.
They don't know,
Yeah,
but it's obvious.
yeah. To you've done a ton of this work. I don't think they deliberately practice this.
Sorry, shouldn't vent. I just needed to. I've been holding it in.
Sorry, I don't know who you're referring to as lying to themselves.
Name names.
Was everyone who was talking lying to themselves?
God, this is getting more into the heady stuff from the earlier parts of the call that I just didn't want to be with.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Bye, Norman. Ugh. Yeah, it was very interesting, like coming in with the Buddhist stance that you have. Are all of you like hanging out and doing relational work around, is it Soryu? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, so are you. That's right.
Are you guys like all doing work with him right now in the house? Is that what's happening?
No.
I invited him by for today's, like basically the afternoon from like earlier. I did a couple hours of like seeing how their theory of change could be implemented in the world. How can I speak to it? Like what's an ideal customer like user journey? And then I had some personal something apparently that was remarkable. I still don't really, I'm not really grokking yet, which maybe I'll never grok. And then we had this for 2 hours here, and then we're gonna have like 2 hours of housemates, and then another hour of like an open event. That's the context for today.
Okay, yeah. I was just trying to get a sense of what his place was in that room with all of you and like how that impacts his authority in the room and how, yeah. Yeah, I was trying to get a sense through how he was showing up in the call and how I was interpreting it.
I invited him to meet somebody who's made a big difference for me, and that it's like a very intense, playful container.
Mm,
I think I sent him the description that I sent you last night.
yeah. I almost wish there was like a better way to set up people to be here. And I get that it's not something you can really set somebody up for because it's experiential, but like ugh.
Yep, I'm with you, and doing the best I can with what I have.
What did you want to have happen differently?
It's not about having anything happen differently. I think it's just like, how do you set somebody up so that they can show up with whatever it is that they want to workshop when they come into this space? I think because it's so foreign for people when they get here that like they have to come a few times in order to really get somewhere. And I want to shortcut that.
That makes sense. I have it similar to like circling that how you show up here is how you show up in life. And this is a fractal representation. People who are quiet, they often are just quiet in life and they'll never get what they want because they don't ask for it or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Ugh, I hate that about humanity.
I think it's a great selection mechanism. It saves me a ton of time. I also deal with a bunch of people who don't know what they want. It's great.
But Zev didn't speak at all. Do you see Zev that way?
No, maybe Dove's getting exactly what he wants. I don't know. I assume that people are getting exactly what they want at an existential kink level, no matter what's happening.
But I thought you just said if they were quiet, then they're never going to get what they want.
Maybe that's my model. If I had the same infrastructure and like preference sets that express themselves in the same way other people do, then that I would not be getting what I want. Personally.
But you know Zev, you live with him.
Right. So I'm saying that I don't know. I don't know if Zev's preference sets are the same as mine. Maybe he's happy getting exactly like this. But if I had my preferences in Zev, then I would be unhappy if I was in Zev's position.
But don't you know Zev?
I mean, I know certain aspects of him that he's chosen to selectively present to me in the same way that you're different with your mom versus me versus the grocery clerk.
But I mean, if you live with him, surely you know more than what he's selectively presented to you, right?
I'm not sure where this inquiry is going.
I'm not sure either, but it just seemed like you said a very strange thing. I'm trying to understand if you actually believe that.
I will often speak strong opinions that I hold very lightly to see like what other people react or don't react to.
Yeah, I reacted to it.
Trigger and pay attention to it.
What did it activate or touch in you?
It just seemed like it just made it sound like you're under the impression that Zev is a mental construct, but surely that can't be the case.
I don't have it that way.
That confused. What do you?
I mean, the way that you, like when you say things like, oh, I'm aware of the things that he externally presents to me or whatever it was that you said, it was just a very confusing thing. That was the thing that made it seem like Zev was a mental construct. But I don't imagine that you really believe that.
I think all beliefs in language are just symbols or representations.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm talking about that's.
I still don't know where it was going. I'm finding
That's a good point.
Frustrating to.
Yeah.
I appreciate it on a personal level.
Yeah, I was just saying that Zev's not a belief or a representation.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sounded like maybe you thought he was.
If it has to do with thoughts, that's all I relate to everything at some level. And also, yeah, everything is beyond anything that I could ever articulate anything. And there's endless infinite being everywhere. There's in essence the universe seeing itself. That's all that's happening. And also, yeah, I mean, I will compress things with loose language sometimes. That's lossy. Any other thanks for knowledge or sharing this?
Well, I just want to at least share that, Alton, again, I'm always grateful that you put on these calls to begin with. I sometimes feel it's like cringe therapy. Whenever I go through these calls, there's less and less and less that I cringe about in other parts of my life because I go through so much cringe here. It's just like nothing even comes close to this. And to some extent, I would say, like, I think, Josh, you at the very beginning said something about like how the world feels off and or can feel off. And like for me, my first call with Cray or the first two calls with Cray, that was the feeling like something is off here. And I would say by having that experience and being in the presence of that experience, actually, I have at least somewhat learned to no longer locate that outside of me as like, oh, I am in something that is off, but really, okay, inside of me, there's an off experience. And if I can locate this better and then actually figure out where it is and what happens inside of me, oh, then it's no longer off. It's just an experience. And so now I can be on these calls and like more or less really enjoy them. Sometimes it's a little fast. It was just like there were too many situations. It was like, okay, slow down, slow down, slow down. Like I can't even follow you guys. What's going on here? It's just like way too fast for me. But besides that, it then I can feel in my body, oh my goodness, my heart rate is increasing and like this feels more adversarial than I generally like it in my life or whatever is going on. But then I'm like, okay, but it's all just still inside of me. I mean, they're not going to come to blows because this is all on Zoom. Cray is half across the country, and this is all just like words coming out of people's mouths, and so nothing bad is going to happen. But it takes me still quite a while to get fully present with what is going on inside of me, and that it's not going to come to blows because it still feels like that, right? And so it's very interesting for me to just take this as a kind of cringe therapy of like, oh my goodness, what could happen here? And then nothing's going to happen, and so it's great.
Yeah, and habits of service too.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't like. I found this very interesting, but I don't know. I'm not grasping what it is yet. Like what it is.
Great. Okay, perfect. That sounds like exactly the thing that they were saying just before we started this.
That was saying?
They're just like being in the not knowing, and like there's something here that's beyond words that are grasping.
Huh. Huh. Yeah, I'm noticed. I'm like I'm naturally trying to approach it more like a normal conversation or like normal circling.
Sure.
And
that's
not what it is, but I haven't gotten what it is yet.
Yeah. We are pattern matching machines that our brains give us little squirts of dopamine when we match patterns. Liable to overfit.
Yeah.
All the time, we compress a whole human into a label.
I feel like it's the complete opposite of circling because you're like practicing different character suits and like asking yourself like the things that aren't working for you and then actually practicing being inauthentic in a way in the hopes that if that works, become authentic for you in your experience.
That's for dojo. I mean, this is not technically dojo, but yeah, there's a lot of the context that Cray and dojo does do. Yeah.
So it's not just expressing what's true for you. It's expressing
you're like trying on
what's feeling tension in you, what's not true for you.
Not necessarily
being if you can be with that in it.
The dojo school and framework in Dakota, I think is referring to is a lot of the who do you want to be about whatever is happening. So you like you try on a different character suit and it produces different results in your life. And there's no such thing as authenticity. Whatever is most authentic is just what unconsciously just got conditioned into you. And that's just like honoring your bigoted monoculture is the default stance that most people are. And that's the entire.
I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of because it went so fast. But at least one that I heard a little bit as a difference between Soryu and Cray is that I understood you, Soryu, saying that there is something like a nature of a human that when everything that we've learned falls away, then is revealed. Whereas I'm still hearing Cray as at least offering that whatever that may still be is still something like a character suit, and that it could still be different. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying one of them is true or not, but I'm saying that that might be one of the differences where if you wanted to work together, you would at least have to agree to disagree.
Yeah. If there's anything else, I'm gonna turn off the stream. I can keep this on. I don't know if people want to keep playing it, but I'm gonna turn off on live stream.
I'm also heading out, but again, much gratitude, Alton, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone,
guys.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Reclaim.
Right.